Got it on the third try. We are a little behind. Keep Tahoe sledding. I pressed play like 5 times and it wouldn't go live. But you know what? I kept pressing play and here we are. What is up? What is up? You know what we ask. You know what we ask. I gotta go quiet on the music. Facebook busted me on one. The Facebook police busted me. They took Moto Evolution down. I'm crushed. I can't find it anywhere. But I gotta keep the music on. It's whatever it takes. How are you doing? You know what I ask. You know what's more important than how you're doing? It's how you're feeling. Because when you feel good, it just helps you do good. It's hard to get going. It's hard, I know. Let's try something new. It's scary. It's all right, embrace it. Let it feel good. Let it do good. How's everyone doing tonight? We got people coming on. Yeah, we got the Nevada boys on tonight. We're going to have some fun on Driven. Thank you guys, everybody, for popping on. Share this out. Blow it up to the groups. I want to pack the house with the live viewers tonight. Blow up the comments. Let's have some fun. Who am I? What are we doing? What is this? My name is Scott Sparrow. If you know me, you know me. If you don't, you're going to get to know me a little bit more through this process. We're building a network here. We're having some fun. We're talking about pursuing your passions, whatever it may be. Typically inside the snowmobile industry. I want to contribute the best way I know how. And I figured talking mindset, talking self-development, helping companies get the name out, get their name out, interview some people, find some people to relate with, because if I don't have the information you're looking for, I bet I can find somebody that does, and maybe you hear something along the way in this show that connects the dots for you and it can help you get through your process a little bit faster. That's the Driven mindset. Never giving up, never quitting. Anyway, like I said, my name is Scott. I got a bunch of people popping on. Jason, Sam, Nevada in the house. Carla, Trevor, Mark, we appreciate you. Thank you guys for coming in. I do appreciate it. What is this? This is Driven. It's a live interview show that I created for people that are crushing it, that want to crush it, and that don't even know what this crushing it thing's about. We're living in an amazing time right now, and if you learn to embrace it and take on some new challenges and try some new stuff, some amazing things are going to happen, and I'm bringing a little bit of that message. But basically, the ability to connect, that's where it's at. That's where the value's at. Like Brian Moon popping on here, we appreciate you. This is so much fun. I gotta say, I was completely overwhelmed. Yesterday was my birthday, and I had tons of people reach out to me and say happy birthday. It was almost overwhelming. So thank you all. Anybody that took a little bit of time out of their day to send me a happy birthday wish. I do appreciate that. It does mean a lot. I was extremely overwhelmed. Tons of gratitude. What's up, Brad? Just saying thank you. We had great times. Great times. We went up, had a good birthday. Went to a meeting last night for the Keep Tahoe Sledding movement. And we're being heard. We're being heard. Joe and I are going to talk about it a little later. Probably. But tons of people commented. We stirred the pot. We put out a lot of information and we're doing good things. So we're super stoked on that. All right, what are we doing tonight? We're talking to Joe Gill. We're talking to Joe Gill. Highcountry Octane. HCOCEO. But I want to get something out. I want to get a little message out there pretty quick. And I had an amazing weekend this weekend. I went to my 20-year high school reunion. It was super awesome to connect with everybody, kind of see what everybody was doing, talk to them, relive some old memories, and have some fun. And I got a little lesson. I learned something this weekend, and I'm super proud of it, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to learn it. But I got asked to jump on stage and give some words of wisdom, they said. Talk to Scott. He does Facebook Lives talking about this stuff. Let's have Scott hop on the stage and give some words of wisdom. Anyway, I drew it all up in my head. I was going to give this great big old speech. It was going to be awesome. Mic drop. And I got up there. And to say that it didn't exactly go as I had drawn up in my mind would maybe be an understatement. But in the and it's not even a failure. It's just I literally got up there and I said, at the beginning of this year, I wrote on my vision board that I will speak on a stage, and boom, I came. It wasn't the stage I was planning on, but stage is a stage. I had the microphone in my hand, and I didn't really deliver the way I had it pictured in my mind, but it was my process. I had to do that so I could learn something, so I could get better, So when the stage gets bigger, I'm ready and I developed. And I'm not going to let it defeat me. But what I got to give is a little value. I went searching after I'm like, what did I miss? What did I miss? And I started thinking about why did I got lost. I got lost in myself. I'm like, I don't know where to go, what direction to go. And I figured exactly what it was. I aimed too wide. I was going to talk about everything in the world. And when you aim big, you know, you got to aim big, but when you don't aim at anything specific, you don't hit anything specific. And it was really wide in my head about what I wanted to talk about instead of just narrowing it down, dialing one topic and just running it deep. And that's kind of what I figured out where maybe I missed the ball a little bit. So there's a lesson in that. I went and I started reading a book that I already read through, and I'm going to read a chapter, because if I let that gauge on how I would do on setting a goal on speaking on more stages, I'd be like, well, no, I did it and I failed. You guys know I started this show. Most of the time we suck at things we just start. That's my message. That's what we're talking about. This is from Crushing It, Gary Vee. Great book. If you want to step into the social media arena, I highly recommend it. I'm going to read this and then we're going to bring Joe on for an interview, exactly what drives him, what his passions are about. And does sledding mean more than just what you see on Instagram? Because I think it does, and Joe comes from a good angle on that. But listen to this. Check this out. Listen to this right now. People are so scared they'll be wasting time, or people think they'll be wasting time if they try to build a business or start something, even if they think their time isn't valuable. And when I get into the second part of this, you'll see why. So he's talking about just starting. No matter where you're at, he's talking about just starting from there, and then you're gonna learn the steps. You're gonna, you know, as you start talking about it, people are gonna come into your network and maybe help you and maybe move you up to the next stage. But if you have a ton of downtime, he's talking about, if you're giving up only your downtime to start your business, to start something new, to take on a new project, to maybe set you up to get you to where you want to go. If you're only giving up your downtime, time you would otherwise spend with Game of Thrones or doing video games or just spending time spinning your wheels, I added that part, how can you say it's wasted? You're literally giving up empty hours in favor of doing something that could fill your life with joy. If you're worried about wasting time, that's bullshit. If you're not 100% happy with where your life is today, it's never a waste of time to try something that could get you there. How about that? It's never a waste of time. People, and that's what held me back for a long time on a few things. It's like, well, I can't start that. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared to be. I want it to be perfect when I get going. I want to be, you know, I don't want to let people see me fail. I don't want to get up on stage and like say the same word 12 times and then just look around at an empty, bunch of empty faces. Like, what's he going to say? Like, nobody wants to be in that position, but I was, and I just learned something from it. And I was able to come back, pull back. It wasn't a total failure. We had fun. We laughed about it. But I was able to pull back, learn from it, and grow. And you know what? I'm going to be better next time I step on stage. I'm growing. I didn't grow. I'm growing. I'm learning to do the things that I want to do to get me to where I want to go. That's my message for this week. If something's holding you back because you think it's not perfect to start, trust me, it'll never be perfect and you'll never start it. So as long as you're taking actions, you're taking those little steps each day, that's my message, is as long as you start it. Those need microwaved up and stuff, but they're all cold unless you want to eat them cold. You can, 1 minute. Snack time. How's everybody doing? That's my message. I got all your guys' attention. Thank you guys. Everybody share this out. Drop in the comments. Drop a hashtag shared. Tag the group that you shared it in. Let's see how much reach we can get out of this night. We're going to have some fun with Joe Gill. And trust me, this is a guy that if he would have never started, there's a lot of people in his pedigree through his business and through his experience on snowmobiles that maybe never started or maybe never would have got where they were going to go without the camera rolling, without Joe pushing them, without Joe being like, come on, let's go. A bunch of backwoods homeboy Nevada people. I'm super stoked to have Joe on. He's a riot. We're just getting connected on the snowmobile side of things, and I'm stoked to have him on here. So I'm going to bring him up right now. Share this out. Highcountry Octane, HCO, CEO, Joe Gill. is.
On board.
We're live. Everybody, welcome to the show. Joe Gill, thank you for taking some time out of your night tonight, hopping on the Driven Network and sharing a little bit about your passion, a little bit about your story. I just want to say thank you right off the bat.
A lot of names popping up here tonight. The HCO crew rolling in strong. I see my buddy that you know, Rick Moffitt, the bullfighter here in California, checking in.
What up, Rick?
Whoa. Dave Edson up in Elko, Nevada. Brett Wolf, good crowd tonight, bud.
I'll be
Austin, welcome everyone.
I'll be right back.
Scott's got to take the kids. That's all about. So, you guys, as we, hey, Mom, it's a young man's sport. I'm letting them know that the gray is in. Everybody say hi to Mom. I talked about joining us tonight.
That'll do, Ringo. Right on. Anyway, yeah, I'm kind of cooking dinner number 2, if you will.
On the show.
We're going to time this very well. Just so everybody knows, Joe might cut in and out a little bit. He's only on his phone signal at his house. And so if he cuts out, just hang with him. We practice this in our private group, and he always pops back on. So there might be some freezy spots. Joe, if I notice you're freezing up on any of the questions, any of the stuff, I'll just have you repeat whatever it may be. But how you doing, man? How you feeling tonight?
Hey, it's an HCO thing, right? Hey, I feel good. It's good to be on the show. I'm excited. I'm pretty stoked to be on with everybody tonight.
I'm glad to have you. It's even cooler. We're going to be representing some Nevada hometown here. We're going to be pulling a lot of people up on here. Maybe don't watch this normally, so I'm stoked to bring them in. Hopefully we can add some value to them tonight, share a little story, maybe let somebody on the audience know exactly what HCO is and why you pursue it relentlessly with everything you got, and you're putting out quality content all the time, and you really have a massive following, whether you realize it or not. There's a lot of people I watch from the background, and a lot of people support HCO, so that's pretty awesome.
Well, that makes it makes a guy feel good, because maybe like you've learned starting your Driven Network. You know, when I started doing this back, 2005, prior to 2005, we're talking like what, not even YouTube, it was like Snow West forums.
Yep.
And a high PCR camera. And who would have thought, 15, 30, years later, here we are. And all these years is inspire everybody to live the stoke that I've been experiencing, to get the feeling that I get from knowing all you and interacting with everybody. And when we grasp that and we take this, it's changed my life. I think it's changing yours. And there's so many people, I think, that are missing that. And if we can bring that to them and get them outside their box, oh man, it's a rush like none other, huh?
Dude, the social media stuff, the Driven that I'm doing, pushing yourself in the backcountry, me flubbing up my class reunion speech, it's really the progression. I've said it several times, like nobody's got this stuff dialed down when they first start, and it holds so many people back. What kind of got you? I mean, you're out there, no camera, bunch of just boys riding together. What was kind of that starting factor that lit a fire where you're like, I want to document this, I want to start filming, and I can do it? Is there something in there that you can relate to the audience, maybe, about just like, let's try this, see where it goes, and then keep going?
Well, what's crazy is I didn't grow up with a background in video or photography. I didn't even write an email until I was like 25 years old. Our computer was a brand new $500 Dell. And for whatever reason, I was on the 4-wheel drive club and started packing a video camera. Went home and you want to make something cool. You want to share it because a lot of folks on the trail wanted to see it. Back in the days, I was brand new to the snowmobile scene. gosh, we grew up, with old school leaf-sprung sleds. Just mom would know she's watching just to get out to the mailbox and catch the school bus kind of thing. Um, is I was working under mining back in the day, and the guys on my crew were snowmobilers, and it started drawing me into the backcountry side. And one of them threw me a copy of Thunderstruck 3. I mean, does anybody remember back that far? What are we up to, like 18 or 19
Let's give
now?
a bit while we're right there, dude. I want to give a huge shout out to Jim Phelan and John Ferrian Live. I don't know if you caught it on Sunday, but they had an awesome interview. I shared it to my page. Anybody that hasn't had a chance to watch that, get a little bit of insight behind Thunderstruck and who that brand is. Give them a shout out, because they've kicked off a lot of careers just by them doing the same thing, just him starting it.
Well, exactly. And that's the snowmobile film scene, which we're going to get into, I'd like to, is what kicked it off for me. I realized, wow, look at what these guys are doing in, 15 years ago. And the other thing I saw is they were doing it in our backyard in northern Nevada up there in the Rubies. And it put me in a zone where I was like, wow, it's almost like superstars are playing in my backyard. And I had the camera, so I start riding with the guys on my crew, and I couldn't ride back. Backcountry back then wasn't even a thing. We were high marking, right? Anybody remember the days of high marking? Up, down, let's go the highest. And as I started riding with these guys, I started filming more and more, and our crew, my buddies, but they were coworkers. At the end of the day, we'd all go back to their house and plug it into the TV, and everybody was getting jonesed over watching that wreck or watching that junk. So at the end of the year, as the season went on, I'm progressing, man. I learned how to email start of the season. So heck, now I'm going to learn how to plug my camera into the computer.
Right.
And this is the stuff I've tried to help people with. And by the end of the year, I'd learned how to put it on a DVD, and all of the guys get together, 15, 20 of us at the end of the year out on the ranch and plug the DVD in, and the guys, it's a big social gathering. And that moment is when it starts uniting us as a crew. We're more than coworkers. We're more than just snowmobilers. We were a brotherhood.
Nice.
Like firefighters or moto guys. And as it went on, I kept doing that. Years later, 2009 is my first year on Snow West forums. And what makes me in even harder is I was really the only representative for Northern Nevada. So I was getting hits from guys like Dan Gardner at Boondockers, Chris Smasher Kaltenbacher, back in his early days. The Thunderstruck guys were messaging me, Joe Gill, and it made me feel like I was something more than just a hillbilly hick from out in Nevada. These guys were coming to me looking for advice or help. And at that moment, I'm doing my edits. I'm getting watches from 509. They're trash. My edits are trash. But how I could feel, I want everyone else to feel like that.
That's it. And it's the brotherhood, the community, and that, this is the coolest thing about, and a lot of people hate social media for one reason or another, but and we'll probably talk about this later, but the ability to create that brotherhood, that community now is obviously 10x in a little different setting, but you're not only stuck, watching your local guys, to push, to progress, to try new things, to, you had to wait till fall to see new film techniques or whatever, and the ability to build that following, if you will, through social media lets people start maybe a little quicker. How do you think social media, if it would have been around when you started doing your test edits a little heavier, do you think it would have helped you sped your process up, being able to watch people, learn from them a little quicker, see what types of things they're doing?
Well, I was kind of in on the beginning. I'm old enough now at 42. I was kind of around when Facebook got going.
Okay.
So when we started Facebook, I was brand new. So we went streaming in, and I can honestly say that Facebook to this day is what built HCO. This is what built our videos, built our fan base, and that's what progressed us to make better videos, to push ourselves with, I would say, without social media. And I'm just now starting to figure out how to get better and hotter on Instagram.
Yeah. It's a process.
That's what's pushing us. But without that social media fan base, HCO today wouldn't even be HCO. We would have hung it up 10 years ago, or still been doing it for the 10 of us in our group, in our town, you know. The following is where we've sold our DVDs, hats, and shirts, and social media is what's given us a fan base who can see what we're doing to come and be our fans and create that brotherhood, make it stronger. And when that happens, we are driven, and when I say with the guys I ride with, we are driven to go harder, push more, push outside that box. A normal day is not normal anymore because we're excited to go home and share it with everyone, and to inspire those below us to come up to our level. We're inspired to go to the next level.
Progression, constant pushing. I love that, man. I feel you. Guys, everybody, if you're just hopping on, this is Joe Gill from Highcountry Octane, the HCO CEO, Nevada-born film company. I had the chance to start riding with him. I think we tried to connect about 2 winters ago. Maybe it was 2 winters ago. Didn't really work out. But we've stayed in contact. Anytime he has a chance to go ride, and I'm off too and available, we try to get there. We finally made it happen, and we're making this happen. And we hope to ride more. Definitely always ride more. That's the overall mission. But I'm excited to have him on here tonight. We're diving into a little bit about his story, and now we've talked about where HCO kind of came from, what it is, how it was started. So if you want to, take a minute now and kind of shout out, any key players that you guys, kind of together about how you guys progressed the company itself when it went from, sled diction 1-2s to where now you're bringing in more people, different groups, 6, now 7s, going to 8s, and maybe talk about how you've, had to kind of adjust with, opening up the sled diction series, to submissions, because you've evolved from, a small crew riding together to basically you got a pretty big community now that reaches Iowa, Washington, Canada. Maybe talk about how you evolved and made that happen.
Well, and when I said it, Facebook's what grew HCO. That's how we did it, by using the Facebook postings. I was able to reach out to these snowmobilers like you were mentioning. I mean, Sweden, all over Canada, from the East Coast clear to the West Coast. And something I was seeing that I'm recognizing is the film industry was dedicated to the professionals of the sport. We all knew Sledniks, 509, Thunderstruck, fully sponsored riders doing the sickest, baddest stuff on the snow. But what I was seeing was there is a huge network of riders that we all know from the backyard. And there are guys that rip. And nowadays, these guys are even at the films. This is back, they were young kids moving on. But I thought, where is the outreach and the spot for regular guys to be superstars? And that's where HCO was born. And I was able to reach out to all these through social media, and that's what it took. And we started building footage. And every year, the tough part was, how do you build a film every year with riders from all across the country? And they're realizing as amateurs, hey, filming a backcountry snowmobile film is tough work. Getting your buddies to stop, getting the right angles, have a good camera. And so I took it upon myself, hey, we're going to start teaching amateurs how to film. We're going to start teaching these buddies how to get going. And that's what we've been trying to build. Yep. So we have our up year. Sled Diction 5 and 6, we killed it. Was super proud of the films that came out when you're mentioned right at the levels of 509 and Thunderstruck is likability. But then you have a down year when you realize the sport has evolved. In a way, we find social media because now everybody has the 30-second hit, the 15-second hit. There's a new generation coming up to snowmobiling now where they don't know what the camaraderie is like, the brotherhood. Everybody's really cliquey in their groups. And that's part of what I want to keep alive in the sport is that old school mentality. And that's why when you bring up those names, Scott lives in Fallon. I'm in Central California. We're what, like 5 hours away?
We're dead like
and
neighbors.
I can't
bro.
get guys in this canyon. It's too far. And guys used to do all that kind of stuff. And so you have a great year and everybody rocks the footage, and then you have a down year and there's no footage, nobody was filming, it's a tough winter. And as a producer, as a guy trying to put this stuff together, I'm going to admit, since Sledding 3, which was 4 years ago, there were multiple times that I was ready to hang up HCO. You start questioning, can I afford this adventure? It's the stress and the pressure. And am I making good life decisions here, trying to dump everything into a project that makes me like nothing? It's that it gives me that passion. And what I did realize is those down years were down years, but I still took out at the end of the season just a love for this sport, new friendships, new people. I'm still learning so much about the sport of snowmobiling. And like I said, through everybody disconnected, I've seen a real path for a lot of us that we need to keep this sport on track. And now, and that's kind of like we get into the fight for land access. All the years, nobody stood up. Everybody kind of was off in the shadows. Nowadays, we're pulling, just like Scott said the other night, 200 people to an information meeting about when we've got Dan Adams. And that's what the sport's doing for us. And we have a long way to go forward. We definitely aren't tapped out. Egan, there's the little guy.
man's here. CoPilot. You got a question for Joe?
Yeah.
Remember him from the ski hill? Mute.
So.
Oh, I'm getting messaged. I forgot to turn my messenger off again.
Fail.
I'm human. I remembered to turn my camera around again, so that's good. Anyway, let's get back. I was being a little too loud, they said. And I wanted to talk about that giving up, that portion where, the down year, the options are there. That's something that's relevant, I think, to a lot of people. I know it is to me, especially starting this stuff is, I feel like stopping 30, 40 times a day on some days, but on the same account, 34 times a day, I'm like, yes, this is the only, this is it, man. Go. Let's talk a little bit about pushing through that and maybe some stuff you do, maybe diving into an old film or something to restoke your fire, to get you going again, to kind of, fire that drive back up and to not quit and to not hang it up when that's the easiest, smart, fiscally probably better idea. What do you get to? What do you pull on for that?
But there are tough days,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing I do is I get on, I turned off TV like 10 years ago, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram. That's where my entertainment's at now. When I get on and you see these guys, and I'm watching all of you, Mike Herthouse, he's in my M8 group, Chuck Hance out in Sacramento, buddies from Elko, buddies from Montana and Wyoming, they're always out. And on those down days, maybe we're not making a film, but it reminds you that somewhere along the way, they appreciate what we gave them, what we showed them, something we shared. They're always going to, I think, as long as we're pushing, we can bring something to somebody else that's going to make them feel the same way. And you work through those down days and you start building up a resiliency in yourself that you understand, I can hang it up right now, but then what am I going to do? I'm making a film and go ride for my 5 buddies. And what do I have to look forward to? What do I have to, and just like learning to jump your sled, learning to side hill, pushing into a drainage where you're going to wreck your sled. You know, I'm going to push through this hard stuff because what I feel like I bring to everybody, they bring it to me too. They bring those down days for me right back
Nice.
up,
Yep.
and I'm tired to go push harder.
Absolutely.
And it's at the end of you realize it was all worth it, man. It really was.
And I couldn't agree with you more, dude. You hit some great points there. Absolute great points. And I talk about a lot like building this network and especially for people starting out, because that's kind of where I compare myself, because I would say I'm starting out at everything I'm doing right now because I am relatively new to this and most of where I'm at. Having those people to pull on, those relationships, that sort of stuff, there's so much value in that, because the thing I've learned so far, like if you're struggling with something, like there's probably a dozen other editors out there struggling with the same thing, and to be able to like connect with people and learn from their mistakes, if you will, speed up your process. I talk about that a fair amount. Who in your network, and what sort of resources have you pulled off of, maybe through the bootstrap efforts of coming up and getting your stuff go? Who do you reach for? Who's been like a mentor, whether it be from filming stuff or sledding stuff or just whatever, whoever else that you've leaned on through the years?
Well, there's a couple names that just popped up right now. So Brandon Cox, old Tedizzle, he's actually rooted right here in Central California, just up the hill from where I live.
That.
And I back on the days of Snow West, when he started the old swizzle stick, the GoPro on its helmet, and look where it took him to today. Anthony O'Berty checking in. Anthony's one of the Boondocker riders now, super down to earth, and his group of him and Smasher and Jesse, being able to ride with those guys, it gives you the feeling that you are a part of something bigger. It's cool that they're letting you in on their group, and by doing that, it gives you a sense of what you can do for other people. And
I think your
these are the films that come into the dynamic today. So once I was able to chat on the private with Dan Gardner, and once guys like Brandon Cox build to what he is now, and it made me feel like I could do that. And when I started seeing myself doing that, it was happening. Like Chris Ward, Hannah, the names, we recognize them all. 1,000 names streamed through, and you recognize every single one of them. So at the higher level brought me in, and the folks below me are what keep me going.
You're kind of chopping up. You chopped up a little bit there at the end, and then I had stuff going on too, so I kind of missed the end of that. They keep you going. I think we got most of it. Everybody, someone in the comments drop in if you're getting through with what Joe's laying out there in between his breakups. I think we're good. We'll just keep rolling.
Yes.
I want to kind of shift.
Yeah, I can see it hanging up.
I want to kind of shift avenues right now and talk a little bit about like kind of what HCO's founded on, with like the gritty, if you will, the old iron campaign that you're just an absolute shredder on. And I want to talk about a little bit people like behind the scenes that kind of get that perspective in their mind that they're not going to get on social media because they don't have a fancy wrap sled, or they don't have the freshest, newest gear, and maybe they're rocking a 98 RMK side hill in it in some places they shouldn't be.
Absolutely. A lot of guys ask me why I'm not riding a newer sled, and I'll let the secret out here on Facebook right now. Can't afford one, y'all. HCO sucks the life right out of me. I'm not kidding. You know what?
I love it.
Some to pick up a climb, a new Polaris, But you know, life for some of us kind of pushes things a different direction. And in doing that, again, you realize the only sled I got to run for the day is the old Red Edge RMK. And you better learn how to ride it if you want to push into the backcountry. And I realized as we all start following the new sleds, the Gen 4s, the Alphas, the top of the line gear, and that's what we see on Facebook and the baddest wraps and turbos. You know what the reality is, the majority of snowmobilers out there still ride very cheap, very old sleds and gear they can barely afford, and they are still snowmobilers just like us, you know. And the people who have pioneered this sport with technique that everybody's starting to pick up on now, wrong foot forward, counter steer, you can transfer those techniques over to the old sleds and they work just as good. You know, granted, yeah, it's heavy. You're going to work out a little more, but hey, you don't have to go to the gym all winter because taking around the 900 kilos. But you know what? You can thump a lot of people on a new sled because you put more technique into that thing than they do. And I saw a lot of people picking that up. And I think they started looking at saying, man, I don't need to get on an $18,000 sled. I can ride my Edge 800 RMK and I can still snowmobile. I can still love this sport. And it's almost become like HCO for me. It's kind of a thing now where I want to keep the old sleds around. In fact, everybody who followed the old Red Edge, you know, she busted in half. She put in a good run. And I've got an old 2002 King Cat sitting outside that I'm going to get running because we need these sleds on the snow. And everybody's forgotten the art of modding, of tuning your sled, having to repair it. You know, everybody now has bulletproof sleds that they tune in every 2 years. It's under warranty. You know, and just like the videos we talk about, the camaraderie on the mountain, the ability for people to tough it in the backcountry is becoming a lost art. And man, the old iron, there's nothing wrong with everybody keeping an old iron. In fact, wouldn't it be cool? We're talking about this. Everybody has to go buy a $400 snowmobile. You know, we're talking for a film day. John Deere Spitfire, an Enticer 340, and you go have a backcountry weekend. You know, everybody on a $400 sled.
Old iron challenge.
Most guys,
it's a thing.
That would be it.
Dude, it's social media. Anything's possible. We can start an old iron challenge.
Oh, yeah. If you borrow a sled, you got to borrow a sled. It can't be older or newer than 1980.
Oh, that'd be killer.
But he goes, absolutely. And you know, and that's what I want to show people is there is a place in our sport for that. There is a place. Nobody has to feel pushed out because they don't have climb gear. You know, it's great gear. And I'm not knocking climb or FXR, but it can't be bought by everybody. So we have to remember that those guys, and we all see it on social media, right? You get on there and we bash the living snot out of the guy who doesn't have the stuff like I would say we do, but I don't even, you know, and that's where ride with these guys, you know, teach them. And maybe along the way, they'll teach you something too.
Yep, absolutely. That's where the sport was grown from, is that old iron. It's tribute to the roots, but I got to say, fuel injection, like that whole oil injection, digital get, like that's pretty nice at times.
Fuel injection.
I don't really miss changing carburetors in the snow with gas all over my hands, freezing.
If it helps you any better, I was dealing with that last winter.
No joke. Right on. So, and it's funny, John Ferrian just dropped that in there. It said feeling inspired, and that's where I wanted to go now. Is I'm kind of getting the brunt of it right now, just for me personally, for what I've been doing with Driven. It's almost overwhelming at times. But and like you said, anybody can get out on the old iron and go after it and pursue, you know, the sport and grow it in their own way. But HCO, it inspires me from where I'm at, and particularly is the event you put on this springtime down in Bear Valley in California in the Sierra, and just by holding the event and, you know, creating the buzz and creating the energy And doing that, you know, it did inspire me to drive farther than I should have for spring snow, to push myself in a way that I didn't even know I was going to do there. And it's it's funny how just by doing things that, you know, speak to us, that we give, you know, our pour our soul into, pursue our passions, how it helps people in the background that you might not even see, or might, you know, you might not even talk to them. But I can say honestly, HCO, I'm gonna get some crap probably from your crew and the Sam and them guys are way to tear this apart. But you know, HCO inspires me for sure to be a better rider, because I see, you know, guys like me, we're not out there 60, 100 days a year, and they're doing it, and they're doing it for, you know, just their love of it. So thanks HCO. But I want to talk about the event you put on this spring. That was killer.
By the way, Mark Jacoby, Scott took second place. Second.
Coming back next year for the title. I just got to get a little more sandy.
And you know what? And like you were saying, exactly how you feel is what we want to put into that. And so we went up, for everybody who was curious, out here in Bear Valley is a long tradition. The local snowmobilers and Valley folks here would go up to the ski resort on the weekend after they closed, and take campers and take the kids and inner tube, and it was family day, bonfire. And I guess I'm not a California native, so I heard the stories and guys talking about it, and I was like, you know what, I want to do that someday. It doesn't always have to be about the backcountry rip to the, now, you know, there's a time and a place to just, man, camper it with your buddies and socialize with it. And I could see that event was kind of starting to fade out. Just the locals were, but you're talking 15 guys, you know, and I was thinking this could be a lot bigger. And California and Nevada, that you guys know as where I ride, is almost a forgotten armpit of snowmobiling. People forget we got snow and we got sledders and we got some cool stuff out here. And saw the Bear Valley event as a way to launch that. And it was a twofold mission. One was the snowmobilers here in California, like I said, they do not travel. Your guys here in Sonora Pass do not go to Bear Valley. The guys at Bear Valley don't go to. And I love riding with everybody, so it drives me nuts because nobody will come ride with us. And I thought, we're going to use this event and we're going to start changing that perception, I think. And I thought, what a better way to create the hill climb race course for guys like Scott. And it's like, let's put these guys, let's push that boundary a little bit. So we set up the course. And I mean, gosh, Scott, how many rigs were there? Something like 30 RVs ended up showing up.
It was rad. It was rad. I loved it.
My hill climb race course, which I've never set up, pulled 15 sleds. I threw up $100 to the winner. But what I saw happen, what I got out of that, was the guy that won, Gavin Johnson, a kid I just met that day. As soon as I set up the course, he ran that course solid for at least an hour. And I told everybody, I said, you guys can go pound it. You know, it's unofficial. I don't care. He ran that course the entire day, up and down. And what that showed me was drive. He had drive to want to do good. The only other person I saw out there make more than 5 runs on practice hour was...
I'm competitive as shit. I wanted to win. And I needed $100.
Yeah. I should have thrown up some second place money. Dude, I feel bad now.
I might not have tried as hard.
Yeah.
No, it was perfect.
But you know, the crowd was into it. I could see the passion on Gavin's face, on you. The guys who didn't even make a practice run but run it, at the end of the day, they thought, yeah, that was pretty dang cool. And by the end of the day, we got everybody coming back next year, plus a crowd that said, whoops, I missed it. We better come back next year.
Be there 19.
And you know what? Like I said, I wanted to bring this sport to a place that seemed like it needed a boost. And I think we did that. And at the same time, like you were saying, we're coming off a rough year. It was our worst year in the history of California. And I came off 4 rides, I think, in powder snow. In February, we were on dirt. And we came out of the worst season with one of the funnest weekends I've ever had.
Yep.
All because we had that passion to do something with our time in the snow instead of, everybody's staying at home. And at the end of the weekend, when the pictures and the stories and the videos came in, everybody's racking their brain. Oh, we should have gone. And next time we want you to get up. So
Monty, you would have had to ride one of Joe's sleds. Sorry. You couldn't have played in our reindeer games with the gangster wheel.
If Monty shows up, we get a few more hamsters, we'll have the open mod class next year and see how Monty can really do.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Well, bud, we've hit like 50-minute mark. If anybody's still on, you got any questions at all for either Joe, Highcountry Octane, or myself, drop them in here. We're going to wrap for about 10, 15 more minutes probably, but I kind of want to shift the conversation since we're growing the California, snowmobile scene in our own way. March got dumpage. I had like 4 of the most ridiculous powder days of my life, and they were like the only 4 days I got to road too. But anyway, I got sidetracked. Growing the sport of snowmobiling, basically connecting the sport of snowmobiling on the California scene. That's kind of where we're at, and that's where we need to go. And through efforts not only by yourself but a lot of other people, we're making it happen for a great cause. And I just want to say thank you for all your work behind the scenes. A lot of other people are doing a ton of stuff with this Keep Tahoe sledding campaign and being active about it and trying to connect groups and reach out to old clubs and, connect the Sonora Pass Club with the Northern clubs. And you're being a big player in that. So thank you for that. But if you want to just, give anybody a shout out, you want to talk about the movement, we can talk about what I learned at El Dorado last night if you want to. But you want to touch on that, just connecting these communities and really trying to build something sustainable in California. Since we're right here anywhere, might as well take care of it.
Absolutely. And to answer Sam's question right now on my favorite boondocker, that's a tough one because I've ridden with all of them. And I can put it like this. Mad respect for Dan Gardner because he's the one that gave me the shot in the very beginning and gave me the inclusion to be a part of this. Mad props to Anthony O'Berty because that guy is the most down-to-earth, just cool dude. He would never say a mean thing to you, and he'll treat you like his best friend from day one. Cool. And, of course, because that guy will crack you up like nobody's business. He put me on stitches tonight just commenting back on a random post. And those 3 guys, to me, are the best boondockers. I can't pick one.
Shout out.
But to touch back, let's get real general because I see everybody and I recognize, and I don't know if these guys follow. So let's really just generic what's going on out here in California. Mm-hmm. So everybody who hasn't been following, the quick rundown. Travel management plan came out 15-something years ago, and it came out to regulate travel in our national forests and on our BLM lands with motorized vehicles. The summer version came out with trucks, 4-wheelers, and it defined why you see logs across your 2 tracks and boulders across your ATV trails nowadays. The winter management plan was a part of that, but never got addressed. So fast forward 15 years, the Winter Wildlands Alliance, who you're all aware of, REI and Snowlands Alliance, all these special interest groups that are designed to tear us apart from the inside out, have filed lawsuits against the state of California, the Forest Service here, because that winter travel management plan was not invoked. So through the lawsuit, they're looking to enact policy which is going to limit what's going on as far as for us here, it's the Pacific Crest Trail, which people outside of California aren't going to know what that's about. But here is they're using these pieces of our national forest to litigate our access away from us. So you're talking 300,000 acre closures, 200,000 acre closures. And what's starting here in California, and I believe they started it here in California because California is a liberal state. If you can't pass it in California, you're not going to pass it in. So they're going to start here. They started with all 5 forests. And I've been, like I said, I've been around snowmobiling a long time, and I've been a part of the land access about ranching and gold mining and seeing what happens for 15, 20 years. And I've seen places get closed, get shut down, and nobody whispers a peep. You
And then they're
see
open again.
a few get involved, and that's it. Now, with what we've been able to fire up in here in California, the first forest lawsuit went through, and that's Lassen, and they lost a good chunk. And I heard nothing about it. The locals heard nothing about it. And that legislation went through, and I think they lost 200 or 30,000 acres, 30,000 acres. I can't remember now. We caught wind of it in Tahoe, which was the second of 5 forests to be hit. And because of the Tahoe Basin, now we have a community being affected. And guys that started the Sierra Snowmobile Foundation, the locals of Tahoe, really got on board with this thing. And where we had meetings going for public interest of 50 people, 75 people, the last meeting in Tahoe pushed over 300 people. The meeting Scott went to last night, which was just an information, it's not even put on by the Forest Service, which they're not doing a meeting for El Dorado. So the Forest Service isn't even holding public meetings anymore. 200 people showed up to that. And I hope everybody gets the message that this is huge, very huge, because something else I've seen is it used to be a community versus everybody wanting to shut you down versus these special interest $1 million companies. Now we had Climb Gear posting the raffle up in El Dorado. Guys like Matt, Chris Burant, Dan Adams, Justin Sheaf. These are folks you never ever heard them say, oh, here's a land issue battle. We're supporting this, spreading the word. And we're looking for things like Arctic Cat, Polaris, Skidoo. You know, you reach 400,000 people on your Facebook pages. What kind of outreach is that for us fighting for the public access? And we're slowly heading this way, and we're looking at it right here in California. And the thing everybody should know, as I wrap this up, that travel management plan is a nationwide policy for every forest in the United States. If you don't have a travel management plan over the snow vehicle policy in your forest right now, as soon as they wrap up California, somebody's going to be bringing a lawsuit to your forest. And we're trying to show you how to fight that, how to rally your community, and how to get those comments, how to flood the Forest Service and get your voice heard. So,
exactly. And through those efforts like that you pitched in, that I helped, that all these fine people shared out, started talking, started the conversations, you know, the Matt Ences, everybody on this show that shared our stuff, we were able to generate 2,800 comments for the Tahoe comment period. And they originally planned on releasing the final draft of their, their management plan in July, but they've really 2,800 comments, 70% of them were pro snowmobile use, and they've now delayed their ruling on their planning till next year. I would say just because they realize that we will be heard, and there's a lot more than just a lawsuit behind it, getting them to stop it. So big shout out to everybody up here watching that shared that stuff out, that took time to comment, and they're helping spread this message. And I want to be the first to say, when it's coming to your forest, let everybody know, let us know, reach out to the Sierra Snowmobile Foundation, because they've really learned where they missed the ball on this specific thing. So big shout out there to all those people. Appreciate that. And keep Tahoe sledding.
Hashtag save snowmobiling.
Yeah. Keep every mountain
save
sledding.
It, buddy.
It's our drive. It's what keeps us going. It's what gets us out of bed. It's what makes us stay up all night editing. It's the love of the sport. It's the growth of the sport. It's the connecting of the sport. And more importantly, it's the ability to use your land and do it like you see fit in a healthy manner.
Like I said, when you see HCO, you know what we're all about. You know, we just want to keep everything going, and the doors are open for everybody to join. So if you go out next year, we'll bring in someone the following year. It's just a rotating project.
Shout out your groups.
Shout
out how people can connect with you. Shout out how they can maybe submit some footage they have to get to maybe work with you and maybe get on board with the HCO project, the team, and everything if you want to now.
Absolutely. So if everybody hasn't, I probably got most of these guys logged in, but the Sled Diction, if everybody hasn't followed, the Sled Diction is our film. So I've got the Sled Diction film group on Facebook, which I set that up so that everybody can go in and critique film and read tips. And so join up there. And that's how I try to find the players who are playing on video. It's not really working, but it's there.
Hey, you started it.
Message any of us on Highcountry. And you know what? The guy's in tonight, Cameron Beck, is a new player out of Tahoe. He's going to join up with us starting this year. We're going to get more of Scott Sparrow, Monty Brewer out of Fallon, Nevada, Chris Neibauer up in Washington, Mike Meisel, our snowbike, Mike Meisel, I said it right. I always say his name wrong. Mike Meisel right here in Oakdale, and his brother are snowbike riders. Who else did I see pop up here tonight? I'm trying to remember. The guys were scrolling.
I'm pretty sure Jackie and Sunshine were on here. Sunshine needs a place in the net in 7 for show.
Yeah. So all we do is, man, we just get good footage and we try to put together film at the end of the year. You know, and I try to put together events. I want to travel more if I can, and by all means, just find us on Highcountry Octane. And everybody, keep following Scott Sparrow and the Driven Network.
Blow it up. Let's get everybody good.
I mean,
I want to point something out. So somebody that maybe just has their GoPro, they're just new, they have a sled, they want to grow a little bit, they want to start putting out better content. And I mean, it doesn't have to be for the Sled Diction film. Maybe they want to do, you know, start their Instagram channel. They want to grow their profile. But we've covered tonight that you don't have to be on new iron. You don't have to have the fanciest gear. You just have to start with your passion in mind and the ability to, you know, grow your community, whatever following that is. What advice can you give out to maybe, you know, the 15, 16, 20, 30-year-old coming into the industry that wants to progress, maybe grow their platform, and how the Sled Diction group can help them kind of improve their content, improve their photos, maybe help them get noticed, help them get reached. You want to touch on that quick before we wrap this up? Because that's a good message, I believe.
You know what? The first thing I can say that I see a lot from guys who reach out to us as a rider is everybody who wants to get a part of this, understand it takes time and work. You know, it just doesn't come by whipping out a cell phone and taking an awesome picture of a jump or something. So isolate within yourself. What do you want to do in this sport? Do you just want to go ride with your buddies and call it a weekend? Or do you have that driven passion to go bigger, go harder, learn more, meet more people, experience more country, get off the trail? And when you start thinking that way and you start riding that way, I found it all really starts to flow after that. You find, if you want to do good, you'll find time to get the pictures and videos. Anybody who rides with me knows we're coming home with video and pictures, whether you like it or not. That's the way it works. So lay down the law. But if you need to isolate within yourself. If you have that drive and passion, and by all means, if you do, we're out here. Scott's out here. I'm out here. All the athletes in the industry are out there, and they are willing to help you progress. And there's great riders in every state. You just have to prove that you want to do it. And once you prove that within yourself, the rest of it's just going to come.
I haven't seen any thumbs, fire emojis, hearts in a while. Blow that heart button up. Smash that heart button. I don't even have it, or I'd be doing it right now. That right there, Joe, that's that driven mindset. That's why you're in the Driven Network. And boy, am I thankful for this. Like, dude, that was pure fire right there. So what do we have to look forward to in the future with HCO? Do you got anything cooking? You want to let anybody in on anything? What do you want to do? Maybe somebody on here can help you get to the next level, do something, anything like that?
Boy, we're definitely in a state of flux with HCO. Get anywhere near enough footage for a film this year, so I guess I'm tipping everybody off. I think this is going to be the best of HCO video release. And after that, you know, boy, the film scene might be dead. I'm going to keep making just because I love it, and I think we need to hold on to that. I want to get with my riders, and you know what? We do have two things cooking on the back burner right there that we're trying to figure out how to make work. And it's nothing that anybody sees in the industry right now, I can tell you that much. So I am going to be a little close to the vest.
Gotcha.
But it is going to be inspirational riding, more hands-on HCO stuff with everybody out there. So we're connected on Instagram. Let's start connecting for reals.
Yeah, buddy.
Where I've talked to Scott, maybe it's time HCO starts doing our own HCO-based podcast. I'm starting to pick up steam on how this all works.
Yep.
And definitely, like I said, events. We're talking having maybe 5 hill climb events in California next year. Some guys, I'm throwing it out there. Chris Neibauer, you're out there. It's time to throw up an event in Washington, right? Hang an HCO banner under the IREV tag, and maybe it's time to throw a little party together up at Mount Baker.
We're planning it.
And that's his HCO. That's what I want them to do is guys start grabbing the bull by the horns in their communities and create whatever your community needs.
Connect with them. Joe Gill, Highcountry Octane, on Instagram, Facebook, a little bit on YouTube. Some of your older stuff's on YouTube, isn't it?
Nevada High 365 at Yahoo.
There it is.
But if you basically search Highcountry Octane,
you'll find it. You
should link into about everything because it's freaking everything 9 times over. So we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Sorry guys, I'm not getting into Twitter or whatever.
Snapchat.
Let Trump have Twitter. I'm cool.
You just got to get somebody.
Snapchat, no.
You just got to get someone on the crew to do the snapping. I call Chris Johnson out. I think he could blow up a Snapchat channel for HCO.
Yeah. So we're always looking for guys. Man, run. The one thing I could push anyone to do is everybody nowadays with the smartphones. I tell guys, man, if you're going to get on a 2-year account with your smartphone and buy wraps and all that cool stuff for your sled, go buy a $300-something HD camera, take a little bit of time to pull some skill with it, and instead of whipping out your cell phone, set up your camera, get your crew involved, and the more you guys do that, man, we could bring film right back into the scene. I know that's a lot to have. But.
Sam Richards, he says he wants to be the Snapchat guy. He literally says right there, "My name's Sam Richards. I love Snapchat." So follow him on Snapchat.
Richards, go take a peek at his Facebook page and you'll give it a like and a follow. That guy cracks me up too. The thing with HCO that Scott knows is, man, characters left and right. I followed like Chris Barant and Sahan Skinner and Brett. I've ridden with Brett. They're all great guys. But holy cow, man, the HCO boys will bust your ribs in half. And a big shout out to Alberti Smasher and Jesse O'Rourke. Man, those 3 together are a stick of dynamite waiting to be lit. They crack me up. That's what it's all about.
Good times. Just good. Good times. Joe, thank you, man. You got anything else? We're getting kind of long here. I want to thank everybody while you're on here for your time this evening. I know it's valuable. I appreciate you coming in here every week. I hope our sound was all right. I hear an echo a little bit, but I appreciate your time coming in here every week, listening to me, and all the messages I got for my birthday. Thank you, guys. And Joe, thank you so much for your time tonight. It's an absolute pleasure. We've got to do this more.
I've been looking forward to it for a little while. I wasn't going to call you. I wanted to wait to be called.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the invite, Scott. I love the Driven Network. Cool. Keep it up. Keep it trucking.
I had to get a stage built that was HCO quality. I had to get a stage. If I'd have called you the first week I did this, I'd been like, "Step up, buddy. Here, what you want to do is adjust your camera angle a little bit so you can kind of get that light on your." I had to get you a stage.
Yeah, well, we had to wait for me to get my dang cell phone to work stream straight.
Absolutely. All right,
thanks
buddy.
Everybody. Greg Lanuski, all you guys, we've been following Chuck Norris, David Dieter, Chris Barant's better half, Jason Barant. We all want to know, is Jason Barant related to Chris? That's the question.
It's distant, I heard. But hey, it doesn't matter. Brothers are connected kindredly. So by blood,
Mike Meisel wants his kayak. You know, yeah, it's getting deep. We better get out of here.
All right, let's wrap it up. We don't want to waste any more of these fine folks' time. You guys have a great evening. Joe, thank you so much for this. We'll probably wrap it up here and maybe hop in another one soon. So,
thanks, everybody. Thanks for tagging along. Loved it.
all right, till then, buddy, stay driven, all right? HCO CEO Joe Gill and myself telling you it's okay. You don't have to be good to start, just as long as you start. Once you start, you can keep going. If you keep going, sooner or later, you're bound to get good at it, and people will appreciate what you're doing. If not, you're going to grow into the person you need to be good at it. So take action. If there's something you've been wanting to do, if there's something that's on your mind, something you want to accomplish, right now is the best time in the world that there's ever been to reach out to somebody, to ask for their advice. Maybe you know somebody in the industry. Maybe you know somebody that's doing what you want to be doing. Reach out to them. Ask them for advice. Maybe be real polite. Ask them for an hour of their time to talk on the phone. You never know what can happen and what your future can lead to just by having a conversation with one new person. I know my life has been just poured into relentlessly this last year because I started having conversations with people. I started telling people my story. I started telling them what I wanted to do. And when you say that, when you speak that, when you come at people like that, they're naturally going to draw to you, and they're going to collect with you, and they're going to come and they're going to watch your show every week. And I thank you guys for all the conversations you've had. I hope you have a great week. We're a little early this week. It's not Wednesday yet, so just stay driven through the week. Appreciate you all. No matter what, we're all just a decision away from taking action on whatever it is we want to accomplish. You just gotta make the decision. Have a good night all. Stay driven.